Midnight, January 25th, 1876. 5 masked men slip into a house in Northampton, Massachusetts, using fake keys they had prepared weeks in advance. Inside, decked a bank cashier named John Whittlesey, his wife, 5 other people sleeping in their beds. Within minutes, all 7 were bound, gagged, and helpless, and the night had barely started. The men wanted one thing, the keys to the Northampton National Bank and the combination to its vault. Whittlesey was the only man in the city who had both. He refused. So they went to work on him. For 3 hours straight, 2 men tortured the cashier. They struck him with a lead pencil hard enough to draw blood. They twisted his ears, grabbed him by the throat, threw him to the floor, and drove their knees into his chest. They pressed revolvers against his head and told him they would pull the trigger. 3 hours. And here's what made it worse. These men weren't in a rush. They knew exactly what they were doing. This wasn't their first time. At 4 a.m, broken and barely conscious, Whittlesey gave them what they wanted. The robbers left 2 men to guard the prisoners and walked calmly to the bank. By the time Whittlesey freed himself from his ropes and made it to the building, the vault had already been cleaned out. $1,250,000. Gone. For many depositors, it was everything they owned. Police found nothing: masks, lanterns, tools left behind, but not a single lead. Weeks passed. Months. The bank offered a $25,000 reward. Nobody came forward. Then the letters started arriving. Anonymous notes to the bank directors printed carefully by hand so the handwriting couldn't be traced. The writers claimed to have the stolen securities and offered to return them for a price: $150,000. But here's the thing about those letters. They gave the Pinkertons exactly what they needed. Robert Pinkerton studied them carefully and narrowed his list fast. The way the gang negotiated is demanding to control all the proceeds themselves, refusing to split anything. Matched one crew perfectly. James Dunlap's gang. Professional, organized, and nearly impossible to catch. But Pinkerton had another lead, and this one was hiding in plain sight: a man named J.G. Evans, a vault and safe expert who worked for one of the largest safe manufacturers in the country. Evans had visited the Northampton Bank multiple times before the robbery, officially, to inspect the vault. He had personally examined the locks and dials. And after the robbery, he kept inserting himself into conversations with bank officials, hinting that he might be able to help recover the stolen securities. He even told one director he could name the members of the gang. Think about that. The man who could name the gang kept showing up at the bank, kept offering to help, kept making himself useful. Pinkerton had seen this pattern before. For months there had been rumors about a trusted safe expert feeding inside information to robbers, telling them which vaults were weak, which locks could be cracked, which banks were worth hitting. Nobody had named him yet. Pinkerton was now almost certain it was Evans. In November 1876, Pinkerton's superintendent, George Bangs, sat down with Evans and ran one of the oldest plays in the book. He told Evans, calmly, with total confidence, that the detectives already had everything, that they knew about the Dunlap gang, that they had been following the suspects for weeks, that the gang was already planning to betray Evans and leave him to take the fall alone. It was partly true, partly a bluff. Evans broke completely. He confessed everything. He'd visited the bank under the cover of his legitimate job, studied the vault, and passed the details directly to the gang. He had even used his position of trust to convince the bank directors to give the full vault combination to Whittlesey alone. One man, one target, easier to break. The man who had spent months positioning himself as someone trying to help the bank was the man who had set the whole thing up from the beginning. Arrests followed. Dunlap, Scott, their associates, one by one, tracked down across multiple states by the Pinkertons. One cashier tortured for 3 hours, one insider who played both sides, and one detective agency that caught them all. Shadow dossier, new case next week.